Have you ever felt that quiet sense of pride after carefully tracking every expense, trimming small luxuries, and sticking tightly to a monthly spending plan, only to look up months or even years later and realize your financial life hasn't changed nearly as much as you expected? That feeling can be confusing, sometimes even discouraging. Budgeting is often praised as the cornerstone of financial success. It's treated like the ultimate solution, the golden rule, the first and last step toward financial freedom. But what if budgeting, by itself, is only part of the story? What if the very thing many people believe will build wealth is actually just helping them stay in place? Budgeting is incredibly valuable. It teaches awareness, discipline, and control over spending habits. It helps people stop money from slipping through their fingers without notice. It creates clarity where chaos once lived. For many, budgeting is the moment they finally feel in charge of their financial life instead of reacting to it. That's powerful, and it deserves recognition. But building wealth is a very different journey from simply managing money. The two are connected, but they are not the same destination. Imagine money as water flowing through your life. Budgeting acts like building channels and barriers to guide that water, preventing waste and overflow. You gain direction and structure. Yet if the source of that water never grows stronger, you can only redirect what already exists. Wealth, on the other hand, is about expanding the source itself. It's about creating streams that continue flowing even when you are not actively guiding them. And that shift changes everything. Many people fall into what could be called the budgeting comfort zone. They track every purchase, celebrate cutting back on small expenses, and feel secure knowing exactly where their money goes. There's nothing wrong with this approach. In fact, it can create a strong financial foundation. But foundations alone do not create the house, they support it. Without building upward, that foundation simply remains a platform with unrealized potential.
When someone relies only on budgeting, their financial progress is usually tied directly to their working hours. If income stops, progress often stops with it. Wealth building breaks that link by creating systems that continue producing results in the background. That transition from effort-based income to asset-based growth is often where financial transformation truly begins. There's also the quiet force of inflation, which gradually reshapes the value of money over time. Even careful budgeting can struggle against this force if income and assets are not growing alongside it. Money saved without growth can slowly lose purchasing strength. Wealth strategies often involve placing money into environments where it has the potential to grow faster than inflation, preserving and expanding its future power. Here's something many people don't realize until much later in life. Budgeting is often taught as the main financial skill, while wealth building requires a collection of additional skills that are rarely discussed in traditional conversations about money. These skills include negotiation, investing, networking, entrepreneurship, and strategic thinking. Each of these opens doors that budgeting alone cannot unlock. At this point, you might be thinking budgeting still feels essential, and you would be right. Budgeting is not the villain of this story. It is the starting line. It creates awareness, discipline, and control, all of which are necessary for wealth building. But mistaking the starting line for the finish line is where many people become stuck. Let's pause here for a moment, because this is where the conversation becomes more interesting. What if the real purpose of budgeting is not to help you live within your means, but to help you identify how to expand them? That perspective changes the entire emotional relationship with money. Instead of viewing budgeting as a restriction, it becomes a tool for clarity. It shows you where resources can be redirected toward growth opportunities. Think about someone who carefully saves money each month, but keeps those savings in places that offer little long-term growth. They may feel responsible and disciplined, which they absolutely are. But without exposure to growth opportunities, those savings remain limited in their ability to multiply. Wealth often emerges when savings become seeds rather than storage. Seeds are planted, nurtured, and given time to grow into something far larger than their original form. Another factor that separates budgeting from wealth building is leverage. Leverage involves using available resources to amplify results. This can include financial leverage, knowledge leverage, technological leverage, or relationship leverage. Budgeting teaches control over existing resources, while wealth building teaches how to multiply them through leverage. That multiplication effect is often what accelerates financial progress. There is also a cultural narrative that can unintentionally slow wealth building. Many people are taught that financial success comes primarily from working harder and saving diligently. Hard work and saving are valuable virtues, but they are only part of the equation. Strategic thinking, adaptability, and long-term vision often play equally powerful roles. Wealth building tends to reward those who combine effort with strategy rather than relying on effort alone. Another overlooked element is income growth. Budgeting often focuses heavily on expenses, while wealth building frequently centers around increasing earning potential. Income growth can come from skill development, career advancement, side ventures, creative pursuits, or investments in personal education. When income grows, the ability to invest and build assets expands dramatically. Without income growth, budgeting can begin to feel like trying to stretch a fixed resource indefinitely. Let's explore the emotional side of wealth building, because it often determines success more than technical knowledge. Wealth requires patience. It demands comfort with delayed gratification. It requires resilience during periods when progress feels invisible. Budgeting offers immediate feedback. You see results quickly when spending decreases. Wealth building, however, often moves quietly beneath the surface for long periods before visible results appear. That waiting period can challenge motivation if expectations are not aligned with reality.
Another subtle but powerful difference lies in mindset. Budgeting encourages control over money. Wealth building encourages partnership with money. When money is treated purely as something to protect and preserve, it often remains static. When it is treated as a tool that can be deployed strategically, it begins to create new opportunities. This shift from protection to partnership changes how financial decisions are approached. There is also the role of education. Financial literacy often stops at budgeting because it feels accessible and immediate. Wealth building requires ongoing learning about markets, industries, economic trends, and emerging opportunities. This continuous learning process allows individuals to adapt and position themselves where growth is most likely to occur. Relationships also play a surprisingly strong role in wealth building. Exposure to different ideas, perspectives, and opportunities often comes through networks and communities. Conversations with people who think differently about money can expand possibilities that budgeting alone may never reveal. Many wealth opportunities arise from collaboration, shared knowledge, and mutual support. It is also important to acknowledge that wealth building carries uncertainty. Not every investment succeeds. Not every business venture thrives. Not every opportunity produces expected results. According to available information from financial behavior studies, individuals who build long-term wealth often accept this uncertainty as part of the journey rather than a sign of failure. They treat setbacks as learning experiences that refine future decisions. Here's where the conversation takes a deeper turn. Financial life is not just about numbers on a screen or balances in an account. It is deeply connected to freedom, choice, and time. Budgeting helps create stability. Wealth building expands possibility. Stability allows you to sleep peacefully. Possibility allows you to dream boldly. The most fulfilling financial journeys often combine both. Imagine looking back at your financial life many years from now. Would you want to see a story defined solely by careful management, or one that includes creation, growth, and transformation? Neither path is wrong, but they lead to very different destinations. Budgeting gives you control over your present. Wealth building shapes your future. When these two forces work together, they create a powerful synergy. Budgeting ensures resources are available. Wealth strategies ensure those resources evolve into something greater. Together, they create a financial ecosystem that supports both security and expansion. There's a quiet truth that often goes unspoken. Wealth is rarely built through a single dramatic moment. It is usually the result of consistent decisions made over long periods, guided by awareness, intention, and adaptability. Budgeting begins that awareness.
Wealth building continues the journey through growth, creativity, and strategic thinking. So if you've been budgeting diligently and wondering why massive change has not yet appeared, it does not mean you are failing. It likely means you have mastered the foundation and may be ready for the next stage. That next stage involves learning how to make money work as hard as you do, how to create assets that generate value over time, and how to shift from managing resources to expanding them. Money is not just a tool for survival, it is a tool for shaping the life you want to live, the opportunities you want to explore, and the impact you want to create. Budgeting protects that tool. Wealth building empowers it. When both are embraced, financial life becomes less about limitation and more about possibility. If this perspective sparked new ideas or challenged how you think about money, take a moment to show your support by liking this video. If you enjoy thoughtful conversations about financial growth and long-term success, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss future discussions. And most importantly, share your thoughts in the comments. Your experiences, insights, and questions could inspire someone else who is navigating their own financial journey.